One, two, three, hey!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Talent Pool. I am so excited to be here today. This is the place where we come to help nurture job seekers' journey to their next dream job and get to meet the person behind the resume. And today we have an amazing guest, Chris Richardson. I'm going to bring him out here. Hey, Chris. Thanks for coming
Hello.
on. Wow, you're so formal today. Did you dress up for us?
No, I was in court just shortly before this, working on some other stuff. But
All
no,
right.
I don't usually dress this formally for interviews.
I love it. You rolled up in a suit, and I've got my startup life hoodie and my sunglasses still on and everything. And that's awesome. Well, y'all, meet Chris Richardson. We are going to talk about a lot of cool things, including space today. So get here if you're joining us. Sorry. Pop it in the chat, say hi, and let's just dig in. So, Chris, you've done a lot of things for being a relatively new person to the planet, fairly young. I feel like that you've lived quite a few lives in your time. What I know where you're going. We're going to go through that, but what have you been doing the last couple of years? And then talk to us about, where you are now, and then we'll talk about where you're going in the future.
So I started off after high school. I went into the film industry. And from there, I worked in the film industry for about 4 years and decided to go back for a undergrad degree in international relations and then a certificate in product innovation from Virginia Commonwealth University. While I was there, I worked in a chief broadcasting role at the Student Media Center, and I also worked at the university library, helping people with various technologies and programs, learning how to use them. And then I was also working off and on with the DoD. After that, I worked with the DoD Transportation Office in National Capital Region, helping communicate how to best get around the region and respond to the COVID crisis that was happening at the time. And then I've recently gone for my master's at International Space University, where I'm still a student, and I will be finishing up here in September. And I'm looking for a full-time job either in the space sector or in the innovation sector, where I can help drive technology transfer and startups. And yeah, that's pretty much where I am now. Throughout there, I've had some volunteer work sprinkled in, where I volunteered at film festivals, I volunteered with the health departments, and I've done a lot of work with various space arts and humanities organizations also.
That's amazing. You make me feel so lazy. I'm just listening to this going, how do you juggle all those things? But I like that. I think it's amazing. First of all, huge plug to the masters in the MPI. I teach that, so that has a special place in my heart with the Da Vinci Center. But I feel like you really embody the type of student who does really well in that program, which is somebody who has kind of a general overview of how you want to impact the world, but building a lot of different skills and a large network to help you do it in whatever way that the universe kind of puts in front of you at any given moment, which is exciting.
Absolutely. And it's influenced a lot of how I adapt and work with the world around me, doing that undergrad certificate at VCU in
Yeah,
product innovation.
it's such a cool program, and I just love to watch students go through that, and then so that's what I do, the venture creation on that with the undergrad, and then I do the master's degree with that. So anyway, okay, so now I have to ask, because I've been like really excited to hear about this. Are you one of those people who, like, as a kid, you knew that you wanted to be involved with space? Like, were you obsessed with that, or is that something that has happened as you've grown older?
So it's something as a kid, I absolutely knew it's where I wanted to go. And then I think I lost that for a little bit as an adult. And COVID really forced me to consider what I was doing and refocus on where I wanted to go. But I personally blame first robotics. So I did first Lego League back in elementary school, and we had a Mars mission one year, and you had to do your research project while also building the little Lego robot to run around the field and collect all the core samples, which is now something we see in many of the Mars rovers. And I put a lot of time into the research project where we looked at Biosphere 2, which is a area in Arizona just outside Tucson, which is the biggest self-sustaining live-in habitat. It's a project that ultimately didn't meet its initial goals, but a lot of science was learned along the way, and it was incredibly successful and influenced a lot of the analog astronaut missions we see these days. But that kind of got me pushing in that direction, and then I lost that for a while,
Yeah.
probably for about 6 years, and then I decided to come back into it.
Okay, so I have to. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Dave, like one of those people who's always looking for ways to ameliorate things around him and find innovation. So, Dave, thanks for popping in. And like, he definitely is somebody who loves people who want to find innovation. But okay, now I have to ask. Like, I love that you said that you lost it for a little bit, because I feel like most people kind of go through this phase, right, where it's like all of a sudden you have to grow up and you have to do grown up things, and sometimes we lose those passions that we had as a kid. What happened? Like, what all kind of came together to make you lose that for a while?
I think for me, I was chasing just job to job, and I never pulled out and looked for a bigger focus. And it was always what was the end goal, what was that next goal. And then COVID kind of pushed me really hard. I was both volunteering at a health department at the time, which had its own challenges, and then
That would have been
also,
so interesting at that time, though. Like,
yeah, and then my job was also operationally responsive to COVID, and I think the combination of all those stressors pushed me to this point where I just applied for the master's program at International Space University based in Strasbourg, France. And I decided I was going to pursue something I really loved. And I really did love the other things I was doing also, but to I wanted to get to a bigger picture place and not necessarily just be focusing on the local community, but focusing on our futures as we move further out into the solar system.
okay, all right. So, what is it that you love about space?
I love the fact that the further away we get from Earth, the less important everything seems, and everything just tends to disappear. A lot of these issues, a lot of the things that we or concern ourselves with, you can't see them from space. You cannot see borders. You cannot see a lot of these other issues, but you can see the changes that are happening. You can see some of these more macro scale issues that we're experiencing right now. And I think it helps to focus all of that in the further away we get. And then, of course, the research into all these technologies are things that tend to derive pretty great benefits for us here on Earth. So spending the money in microgravity research to then get the returns here in different industries of Earth, especially in the fields of healthcare and biology, are really exciting to me.
Love that. I love the perspective of like the further away you get, the smaller, like the less important the small details are, and the more important it becomes to kind of create this holistically healthy world and universe so that we can address those kind of smaller issues, because we have to have a holistic kind of healthy base and foundation to go from first, and then we can look at those other things. So okay, so you're going into space, but you also have like this love of the startup community and innovation in general. So as you're kind of making your way into space, which is a journey in and of itself, and into that side, are you also contemplating going into the startup space and kind of focusing on innovation there as well?
So for me, when I look at the startup space and when I look at universities, there's already a lot of innovation that's already happening. And a lot of times there seems to be a gap in uh, the research being commercialized. So there's a lot of stuff that NASA's sitting on, that many government agencies are sitting on, that could be commercialized, but people don't know how to commercialize it. They don't know how to bring these technologies to the people. And I personally want to find myself in more of a support role for some of these organizations, because I am rarely the smartest person in the room. There are very often much smarter people in the room, and making sure they have the resources and tools they need to uh, increase their impact is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And for my master's program, I did we all do these individual projects, which is kind of a mini thesis. And I specifically focused on the space accelerators around the world and mapped them out and set some definitions that would help set up future research into that field.
Amazing. That's awesome. I love this. I feel like the big dreams just make me so happy, because you can see where those big dreams lead to local impact. And I feel like that just kind of tracks with who you are and how you operate in the world. So do you have, I mean, clearly, like, there's a leader in space, but when you think about companies that you'd like to work for, do you have dream companies?
So when I'm looking at companies right now, when I am applying for jobs, I'm really looking at startup um, organizations that are helping startups in the space, whether those are accelerators or incubators, that are looking at space sector in their portfolio, or I'm looking at young space startups, in which case I could be of assistance. A lot of my previous work is in the realm of government affairs in one way or the other. So I can help. I feel that I can be of benefit to many of these startups that have a heavy government regulatory burden, helping them navigate some of that and lobby for the changes they need to be able to see the future that they're trying to generate on the government and regulatory side.
Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love this. I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to see where you go with this. Y'all, if you know people in the startup industry, or I'm guessing the government industry that's focused on space, or the space industry. In fact, I have a couple of friends. I don't know that we're friends on LinkedIn actually, but Facebook, who used to work for SpaceX, and some of those kind of bigger names in there. But y'all, if you know people in your network who need to be connected with Chris, he is out there looking to change our world and make it a better, healthier place for all of us. So please, please, please connect with Chris on LinkedIn. Follow his journey, connect him with your network. And Chris, as always, with everyone who comes on the talent pool and anybody who's in my network is yours. And I'm here to help in any way that I can. And most people I know feel the same way. So we're here to support you. We're cheering you on, and can't wait to see where you go next.
Thank you very much. And same, I'm always happy to share the connections I have or answer any questions of anyone that comes up. Because for me, it's just the most important thing is about growing this sector and making it more sustainable for everyone.
I love it. I love that. All right, y'all, connect with Chris. Join us later on this week. We have Ray. They're back after some issues with internet and a few other guests. And let's just see how many people we can help get jobs. But until then, good luck. Have an amazing week. And Chris, I really appreciate you joining us today. This was so much fun.
Thank you. It was great to be here too.